I've heard mentioned here. Mr. Bosman, you did one of them. But I wanted to talk about, and one is the problem that if we pass a ban, we could be sued. That they would come down on us, and we just wouldn't have the money to take care of ourselves in such a case. So I looked into this and checked it out, and I looked into the Dryden case. I read the entire case, I read the Middlefield case, and I read the appeals. The question is whether home rule, which falls under Article 9 of the Constitution, if our home rule is superseded by the Department of Conservation's law about mining. And according to Judge Rumsey, it is not. That home rule does stand, that we do have the right to ban fracking. We can't regulate it in any way, but within the confines of our town, we can say no to it. Now, Tom West is the lobbyist and the lawyer for Chesapeake Energy. He represented Ansich in that case in Dryden. He's also helping in the Middlefield appeal, and he's doing the appeal in Dryden. And Tom West thinks the judge is dead wrong, so he's doing the appeal. He says pro bono, but I think he's giving me help. So the question will be decided in that court. If Tom West wins, if we did have a ban, it's a worthless piece of paper. If Tom West loses, our ban would stand, and we would not be sued. See, the question's in the court that's going to apply to all of New York State. They've got no reason to bother us, and they're not going to sue us. There's 150 municipalities who are putting in place bans, moratoria, zoning laws, 150, and they're not going to sue all of them. They're going to wait for these two cases, and when the answer comes out, that's the one that everybody will have to live by. So we're not going to be sued. The other question I had was something, Chuck, you also mentioned, was about we need this bridge fuel, because whatever the future is, we need a bridge to it. So we need the natural gas. But a bridge implies that it's resting over here on oil and gas, and that over there is the next technology. And to get to that one, we need a little time. We need a bridge. But does anybody see the next technology being developed? It's not. We just want to drain them ourselves, use it up. And I looked at it and thought, my parents' generation, my generation, we have squandered a lot of oil. We've used it to blow leaves around, to drive cars that have fuel efficiency that we could have done a lot better. We have used something that belongs to the future. And now we want to take the rest of it away, and we want to say to our next generation, well, let's see, we've soiled the nest with this resource, we've used it up, and I don't know how you're going to heat your house. So it's what my ex-husband called a bad case of the I wants. I want it all. I want descendants, but I also want all the fuel that would heat your houses. At some point, we have to say enough is enough, and that this silly bridge doesn't exist. And if we really think that there's a bridge, well, let me think. We are importing more natural gas than we're exporting, but we have a glut. We have so much that they bring it to the wellhead, they hold it right there so they can hang on to it. They don't have to pay royalties. And they're storing it. And they want to go into that decrepit cavern over in Seneca Lake, and they want to store some of it over there. So we've got all this glut to the point that the price in the U.S. is $3.50 per unit. And that's something like 1 million BTUs. It's like what is it, 100,000 million cubic feet? It's a lot. And we're only paying $3.50 a unit here, right? Japan will pay $17 for that. And if you add export costs to the $3.50, they're still going to make money if they can get it to Japan. And here, we've got one company with a permit to export, only one, and that's out of Louisiana, and it's Sabine Pass, Louisiana, and that company won't be online to export until 2015. About 16 other companies are lined up to also export, while everybody else around the world is also trying to hydrofrack. So if this is for energy independence, why are we importing when we have a glut? We could be using it. Why are we trying so hard to get it overseas? And if we're not going to use it for us, well, how is it our energy independence? And lastly, I've looked at those regulations, and I've read them, and I've looked. Tom West, that wonderful lobbyist and lawyer again for Chesapeake, wrote the compulsory integration law that forces you into a well. He wrote the setbacks, which are reduced, but they're lower than Texas. The compulsory integration is worse in Texas. Our regulations, written by the industry, are worse than the state of Texas. Who'd ever thought? Because they were written by industry, because they don't protect us. And as long as we're going to let the industry and that corrupt DEC run things, we really should not participate. And we should tell them, you don't need our gas. Wait until you're honest enough to take it. Is that enough? Anything else you want to know? Oh, EID, by the way. Tucky sent me the link for EID as a balanced site that represents both views. EID was started by two petroleum groups, the American Petroleum Institute and the Independent Petroleum Association group. Those two represent Shell, Chevron, and BP. And they have nothing to do with us. And that is an industry front. And everybody who writes for it is also paid by industry to say what they are supposed to say. They are not balanced.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. Thank you.